Hey, Bobby, you know what's really creepy?
Tell me, please.
Getting put into a small metal contraption that can go up to speeds of 100, no, probably like 100, what's a max
20,
speed? 120 miles per hour. And then also being on paved, I guess you could call them roads.
Oh.
With other people that are also in metal contraptions going up to speeds up to 120 or more.
Interesting. What are you talking about?
Does that sound scary to you?
Maybe. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you didn't know that I was talking about cars.
Oh, cars.
And driving.
Oh, driving is creepy.
Did you like that? Did you like my intro?
Great intro.
Well, I thought the concept of driving sounds scarier than when you say the word driving.
How often are you in the act of driving and you're like, what? Like, this is so dangerous right now.
I don't think ever.
Really? I was
mean,
listening
only
to
if
another
there's, like-
podcast and someone asked the host about, it was Rogan, and they asked him
Of
like,
course.
they asked him about like, how often do you think about like crazy things, like doing something crazy or like jumping out of a window, like crazy things. And he's like, never. And I'm like, I think about stuff
I don't
like
think
that
about.
all the time.
You know, the only crazy thing that I think about every now and then is the fact that like we made Melody and that she was in my stomach at one
I
point.
never think about that.
Do you?
Do I think? Yeah, everything is crazy. Everything I think about all weird, crazy things and what you could like crazy scenarios. And like when I'm driving, I'm just like, if I just moved a little bit one way or the other, a terrible thing would happen.
Okay, I've thought of that, but like I don't think about the process of.
I mean, I'm
driving
not
as
constant.
being-
It's not a constant thought that's running through my head.
You're
but when
just
you're
your
like,
hands on the wheel.
but when you're like zoned out, when you're like zoning out or like just so focused and like you're letting thoughts kind of just come to your mind and you're just all of a sudden like, oh, what I'm hearing now is pretty crazy. I'm going 70 miles an hour and you like look how fast you're flying by like a tree and you're like it's crazy. It's creepy.
I think I more so freak myself out. I'm less freaked out when I'm driving. I'm the type of person that like likes to be in control. So I get more anxiety when I'm a passenger because I'm not in control.
Yeah,
But that's
it's
just
weird.
a me thing.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the one who is usually driving. Very rarely am I the passenger. Even when I'm with friends, when we're driving, like I usually drive.
So maybe that's why you haven't thought about
But I
it.
feel like when I am the passenger, I usually just like zone out because it's almost for me equivalent to like getting on a roller coaster or an airplane. It's like, all right, well, I'm in. Like
It's too
whatever
late.
happens. But when you're in control, that's when all the responsibility comes on you. Like where I'm more aware, more conscious of it.
Yeah. I was trying to think if I want to dive right into why it's creepy or if I want to start. No, let's start with the nice stuff and then
Okay.
like we're supposed to do. Via me saying that we're supposed to do it, not because we're actually supposed to. But I wanted to see where we got our start with driving. Like, how old were you when you first got your license, and what did you drive, and what was your driving experience
Pretty
like as a first-time
sure
driver?
I was like 16 and a half. Remember, like I waited longer than I like could have.
Ooh, 16 and a half.
But also because I had stayed back in first grade, usually what you do is you take like a driving course in school.
What?
You take like a written course.
I don't. Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, you
Okay,
could.
so this is New Jersey, by the way.
Yeah.
Bobby is representing New Jersey license.
So
laws,
you're
and I'm
able
New
to
York.
take your written courses and like get a class. I can't remember
in
exactly.
school.
Yes.
I had to go to the DMV.
Well, I had to because I had stayed back, so I was older than my grade, so I couldn't do it yet. So I had to go and do it there. And I remember, did I fail the first written one? My memory sucks.
I'm sorry.
I think I did because I didn't study. And I was like, this should be easy. And then I failed it. And then I literally studied like once and then like got like a 98 or something, like ridiculous. Because it's just memories I hate. Like obviously I just said my memory sucks. Pointless memorization when it comes to tests is like my biggest, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I think it serves little to no purpose. I understand why we
How
do
do you
it.
remember things?
I don't do it very well. Not very well is how I do it. So anyway, did my written.
I'm glad you don't have a very high, like your job people's lives depend on your job knowledge.
Well, I wouldn't have. Yeah, I wouldn't do that kind of job. I wouldn't have a memorization.
You wouldn't be able to
focused
be a
job.
doctor because they have to remember a lot of different
Well,
ailments. And
I mean, if you're constantly doing, yeah, that's the thing. If I'm constantly doing it, but when it's just pointless memorization. Anyway,
like,
off topic.
Okay.
Did my test. Then I did like what is it? 8 hours, 6 hours? You gotta do to
Yeah.
get your permit.
I don't know the time limit,
It's,
but
let's say it's 6 hours.
you have to do a
I think it
certain
was like
amount of-
3 2-hour sessions or 9 hours, something like that. I think it was like 3.
you have to like get
sessions.
somebody to sign off, right?
And
that
you
they-
have someone you drive with someone. Did you do that?
Yes, but it was like my parents or
Oh no.
or a person, or our neighbor. Our neighbor was a police officer, so my mom made him take me so that he could like teach me the laws of the road. But yeah, it was somebody you knew, and
No,
then they signed off.
Not
Oh.
here.
Not,
So
not in New
like
Jersey.
you know when you drive around, you see like student driver.
yeah,
That's what I did.
you had to do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you have to do that to get your. Which
we did not have. To
I
do
think
that. I
people
don't know
should
if
have to
it's-
do that every 10 years or so.
I
'cause
don't know if that
people
changed.
suck at driving. Anyway, so I did that, and I remember my first day, I was doing really good, and the guy's like, "All right, now we're gonna go on the highway," and I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And I remember merging on, and I'm like going slow because it's my first time merging onto a highway. And he's like, "Step on it, step on it, step on it." I'm like, "Okay, oh god!" And I remember just driving, like getting up there and driving. But yeah, did all that. No other vivid memories besides just driving around with this. He was like a large, like burly guy. I remember.
Was it one of those cars that had like 2 steering wheels?
I think it had the brake. I don't think it had the steering wheel. He could
Oh,
brake,
okay.
but I don't think it had a second steering wheel.
That's scary.
And then I'll never forget one of the first times. Like, so I got my like learner's permit or whatever, and I remember driving with my dad, and we're driving around, and all of a sudden, like this torrential rain comes, and it's like crazy. You can barely see, and I'm driving as best I can, and he's like, "Do your best, keep driving." And I remember being like, you gotta take over. I can't do this anymore. I remember exactly where we were and everything. And my first car, to answer your last question, was I think it was a 2001 Ford Mustang,
Ooh,
which
fancy.
was extremely impractical because, as I said before, because I'd stayed back, I was like the oldest of my group of friends, and I was the first one to get a car, and all my
Right, you
friends
couldn't fit
are
everybody. You could fit, like,
bigger
2
than
people.
me. So in a 2-door Mustang with 4 guys, it didn't work
Wait, did
well.
it drive in the snow?
I mean, yes, it drove in the snow. It didn't
Was it
drive a lot.
Front wheel drive.
It was it was
Oh,
it
God.
was a very impractical car. It was a cool car, but it was very impractical, and I don't regret it. I mean, it was cool. I learned like why not to get that kind of a car.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
funny-
that's why, like, because I think my dad may have like not persuaded me, but he like had a Firebird when he was young, and he like loved it and like talked about it and like really liked taking care of his car, and that just never rubbed off on me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't care about cars.
I
I think
don't-
cars are like
I'm sure I washed my car when I was young, like when I was with my parents, because my dad made me, but I've never since washed my car. If it's like filthy, disgusting, dirty with like salt from the road or something where it needs to be like cleaned for a practical purpose, yes, but I never clean. I just don't care about that. I
Yeah,
don't,
I'm not a-
am not a car person at all. I like practicality. So that's why now I have a Ford F-150, and it's the best vehicle I've ever had. Super practical, can do everything and anything I want. And I know for you, it's like awesome to like be a passenger because it's big.
Yeah,
and
I
comfy.
do like being a passenger. I
rides
feel
well.
safe in it.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, if you crash in this thing, I think I'd be all right.
Yeah. What about
That is
you?
a nice. Sorry, I was just gonna say I don't give a crap about cars either.
Mhm.
Like I remember for the longest time, people would give me names of cars, like they'd be like, "Oh, that's a so and so." Like a see, I still don't.
My
know.
friend
like
was my friend Ryan. He was really Mojack. He was
Yeah.
really into cars, and he had like a GTX or something. Like he was
of
really.
course he did.
He tried to get me like into it.
The only reason I know like some of these cars is
Yeah.
because when
Mitsubishi,
I was
right? Yeah, I think so.
when I was a teenager, I had a friend group that was very into like cars, but it
Cars.
was all, oh my God, what's the car? See, I don't even, Honda Civics.
Oh, Civics, yeah,
And there was like
'Cause they're cheap.
Acura,
Yeah.
Acura GT or
G's,
something.
yeah. Volkswagen GT.
It's like the car, it's like the cool cars that
'Cause
like, you
they're-
could kind of afford.
Yeah, because they're affordable. They look cool, and you can like modify them a lot. They have a
Yeah,
lot of
so
mods
that's-
for 'em.
Like back, I don't know if this was also a thing, but my friend group, like a lot of the guys were super into the audio systems in their car.
Well, that was like, it was like one of the things you could do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember at one point,
And it would be the stupidest, loudest,
I think I
bassiest
told
cars.
you when I got my not the Fiat, the one before that,
Yeah.
the Honda. Was it a Honda? No, Hyundai.
Hyundai. It's not
Hyundai.
Hyundai. It's
See, I don't care
Hyundai.
about cars. I don't know. Hyundai. When I remember, do you remember I was like, I should trade out the like speakers for better speakers. And you were like, why? What is the point of that? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did it when I was a kid when I had, so my first car was a Suzuki Aereo.
The clown car, right? Isn't that what they
Yeah,
call
my
it?
friends would call it the clown car. It was more practical than yours, though.
Probably.
I don't think it was all-wheel drive, so I don't know why I was getting on you about not driving in the snow, because my car could not drive in the snow either. Although it did take me, I had that car when I went to college, and it did drive me through snowstorms from like, what's it called, where I grew up, 4 hours to my college.
In the winter, my dad would,
you have to put like salt.
he would make
sand
me put
or-
like bags of sand and salt in the back in
Yeah.
the trunk to like weigh it down.
I'll never forget. Yeah, I had some my craziest driving stories was to and from college. Because we had this 4-hour drive and there was like an hour patch of time where cell service didn't work and you were literally in the middle of nowhere. It's up by like Lake Placid. Yeah, it's up by like the lake. So out of nowhere, like you'll be driving, there'll be no snow. And then because of the big lake that's up where, for anybody who doesn't know, I went to college. I went half of my college to Plattsburgh, which is like very close to Canada up north. And there's this huge lake and like freezing, like storms would just roll over the lake very fast
Lake
because they
effect.
would move. Yeah, they would move over the lake super quick. So you would be driving thinking that like you're fine. And then all of a sudden this snowstorm would come out of nowhere. And I remember there was one drive, I was driving like literally 10 miles, a 4-hour drive, I think took me like 6 or 7 hours. Because I had to drive like 10 miles an hour, but the whole drive, there was all these cars that had like skidded, like there was big pickup trucks, all these like big cars had skidded off the road. And I'm like, nope, I will do it. And then every time a big like semi truck would pass by, my car would kind of like, because just the power
wind.
of the wind and whatever. And I would just sit there and I'm like,
Because they
I have to
gotta
do it.
go. They can't slow down too much
Yeah.
because they have to keep their momentum going up and down the hills, which is like
There
super
was-
dangerous for them.
I believe during that exact storm, and keep in mind, there's no cell service. I'm just like a young, like college
I mean,
kid
you were doing
by
the right thing
myself.
going like slow.
Well, I wasn't going to pull over. I was like, if I pull over and there's no cell service
You're
and
gonna
I'm
get stuck.
alone, I'm going to get stuck and I'm not going to know what to do. I'm
Yeah.
in like the woods,
Yeah.
like up close to Canada where nobody is.
You had your hazard lights on, I
I
assume?
had my hazard lights on.
Okay.
I spun out once
Yeah.
on that drive after a semi truck passed me, but I just like collected myself. Luckily, the roads didn't have many people on them. So
Yeah.
you spun out and then you were like,
You like
good.
spun out, or like you kind of swerved?
I'm pretty sure I spun.
Fishtail.
I spun
You did like a
out.
whole 360?
Yeah. So very
180?
luckily nobody was near me. And then and also very luckily I didn't go off the side of the road. I kind of just like spun from one lane to the other and then kind of like the car collected itself. I like hugged that car when I got home. I was like, you made it, little buddy. That was like
did
a
it.
front wheel drive, tiny.
Yeah.
My friend, if you want to look up a picture, look up like a Suzuki Aereo. I don't even think they make them anymore. I forget what year it was. I think it was a 2001. Is that what
Yes.
yours was?
Yeah.
I think it was a 2001. Yeah, that little car.
Yeah,
got
I
me
was
through
between. I was
so
between,
much.
I got the Mustang, but I was also looking at like Jeep Wranglers because they were cool. I'm sure like you had people.
It's funny because when I was growing up, I thought Mustangs were like the coolest car. So I
Yeah.
would have thought you were cool for having a Mustang. Because I
and
like the horse, the little horse emblem. That was the only.
I like
reason.
the Wranglers, but you don't get much with them. They're very bare bones. And now that I've driven them, I actually hate them. I think they drive terribly. I will never ever own or drive one
The
again.
Jeep. Yeah, I still don't know much about cars. I know more about like brand names because I've
Yeah.
had to research to like get.
I've learned
cars
more
as
about
an
trucks
adult.
because when I was researching what truck to get, I mean the F-150 was like the #1 truck across the board, but I learned a little bit more. Yeah. So how did your learning experience go? And
Yeah, well, I guess mine was way a lot more different than yours was because I had to drive a certain amount of time, but with like
An
people we
adult?
knew. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just had to like kind
and
of
they just sign off on
Yeah.
you, so you can easily lie.
Oh yeah. Or if your parents didn't give a crap, they'd be like, "Here," until I gave it to you.
So that's why New York drivers suck.
What are you talking about? They're
What are you
fine.
talking about?
I mean, I don't know if it's changed since I learned to
Everyone
drive.
sucks. Most people
Um,
suck at driving.
Then there was a written test. But that was also funny because I'm pretty sure they give you 2 chances. So like you take the written test, you go up, they mark which ones are wrong, and then they make
That I think
then
that's
they
what
make you
happened.
then they make you go back and answer the question, but it's like a multiple choice
Yeah.
question. So
I'm pretty
if you
sure
get
that's
it
what I
wrong
did.
again, that means you just like
Yeah, I'm pretty
really
sure what I did
unlucky.
was I got it wrong, went like into the lobby, or like there was like a study room. You could go and like study to like
Oh.
do it again. So I'm pretty sure I failed it. And then I don't know if I like told me what was
Well, it's
wrong,
kinda
but then I went back, read through everything again, and I was like, oh, I mean, it was easy.
It's
I just
kinda
didn't,
dumb.
it is
Like,
dumb.
Because written,
There's
I mean,
a couple
it's
things.
important.
There's
but
a
like,
couple things that
not
like,
for driving. That's more like a doing
yes,
thing.
the learning, but there's a couple things that come as far as like the written tests that like are good to learn or know. But I mean, I don't remember anything.
I do remember it being like one of the biggest moments of my adolescent. Like I couldn't
Getting your
sleep.
license? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like I was so nervous going up to it. I was like, oh my God, what if I don't get it? This is gonna suck. Like I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I think I had my car already. I don't know. But I remember my driving, like the person that gives you the driving test was like not a nice person.
Yeah.
And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, I remember
this
that.
lady, it was some like burly lady.
I did great on my
That was
driving
very
test.
not approachable personality, and she was just like get in the car, very like stone faced,
Yeah,
did not want to be
hated her
there.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's funny is I remember getting to the whole time. I was like, this lady's gonna fail me. Like all she's doing is critiquing me the whole time. So then we get there, if we get back to the thing, and she's just like, you need to look at your mirrors more. And something else. And I was like, okay. Like I thought she was just failing me,
Yeah.
like telling me what I needed to work on. And then she literally just gave me like a slip that was like, you passed. I was like, what? Why were you giving me such a hard time if I was doing everything fine?
Well, you
Um,
weren't doing. You were doing it good enough, but not
Good enough.
ideally.
She was like, I don't want to see this girl
Ugh,
again.
good enough.
Get rid of her. Have you ever wondered what it's like to experience true horror in its most visceral form?
We often hear stories about serial killers, kidnappers, and potential predators on the news.
We read about the unspeakable crimes they've committed secondhand.
But what about the victims? What about those fortunate few that made it out alive to tell their tale?
Look no further than Let's Not Meet. It's a true horror anthology podcast narrated by host Andrew Tate that chronicles the first-person encounters of those that survived a brush with the most dangerous monsters of all.
Join Andrew every Sunday night to hear listener-submitted stories like The Fingers Under the Door, The Hotel Basement, and The Laughing in the Woods. True tales guaranteed to keep you in suspense.
You can catch Let's Not Meet, a true horror podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts today. I got my license at 15. Because in New York State, at least, if you have a job, and I had a job at 15, you can apply to get your license early. However, the only places you're allowed to drive is to and from work or to and from school, and that is it.
What about a gas station? Or it has to be along the way?
It has to be along the
Yeah.
way. Like if they catch you like out in another state, they're gonna be like,
Yeah,
"What are
yeah,
you
I
doing?"
gotcha. Yeah.
Because you have like a special license that says, I think
Yeah.
it's called, I forget what it is. You also can't
Restricted or something.
You also can't drive past a certain
Yeah,
time. So I
yep.
think 8 o'clock, there's like a 7 or 8 o'clock curfew. So
Oh,
I
wow.
I got pulled over one time past the curfew because me and my friends went out. I think, did I tell you this story?
I don't know. Maybe.
My mom knows this story, I'm pretty sure. Not at the time, I didn't tell her, but I got pulled over and I was freaking out because I was like, my mom's gonna take my car away. She told me I cannot be driving at night. So what happened was, and I think this helped my situation. We went to like a friend party in high school and people were drinking and I was not, because I knew that I had to be the one to drive us back.
Yeah.
Like that
You were
was,
the DD.
yes. Cause again, me too. I was the only friend who had a license in a car.
Really?
Yeah. I literally drove everybody everywhere. Well, we had some older friends, but like we had some older friends that had cars and licenses.
But they were getting wasted.
Yeah. No, well, some of them probably were there and drinking, and obviously we're not driving with them. So I was like the trustworthy person that would, if I knew I had to drive, I would not have any
Same.
drinks because I did not want to lose my car privileges or license. So because that gave me freedom. So I brought 2 of my friends. Actually, we were going to drop off our one friend at his house, and then we were going to come back to go to my friend's house for the night for a sleepover. And we got caught. I wasn't even doing anything wrong. I went through a yellow light and they got me on that. And the guy came over and I think he could tell that my two friends were really drunk and I was very sober. And he didn't give me a ticket. And he said, because he said, you're not supposed to be driving past 8 o'clock and you're not supposed to be driving anywhere beside. And I'm like, yes, I understand. And I said, I'm bringing my friend home to his house. And then I said, I swear to God, I'm bringing my friend home to his house. And then we're coming back and I'm going to my friend's house and we're staying. And he said, I'm patrolling this area the rest of the night. He goes, I'm just letting you know. He goes, if I see you again.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not telling you where in the area. He's like, but he goes, I will see you one more time coming back to go to your friend's house, and that is where you will stay. And I was like, yes, absolutely, officer. I think he realized I was being responsible and trying
doing the right thing.
And probably he didn't want these other kids to be like driving or So I got out of a ticket and also nobody found out about it, luckily. So, but that was my drive. I was driving from 15 on. I have never been, knock on wood. Oh God, there is none. I was gonna say, I've never been in like a bad accident. I was in a bad accident. I was not the one driving. Did I tell you?
Yes, I know about this.
Yeah, I had a friend that basically got ran off the road randomly. Like we just got ran off the road. It was like me and two of our other friends and we hit a telephone pole. And they said, thank God. So the car he had bought must have been in an accident before he bought it. And so they put like a reinforced thing in the front of it to hold the bumper up. And the cop said, thank God that car had a reinforced bumper, because if not, the telephone pole would have went right, like way further into the front of the car. I was in the back seat, not in the front of the car. So I probably still would have been fine, but
damn.
Yeah, it was, that was the worst car accident. And that was in high school. So it was a long time ago. So luckily, knock on wood, we've been good. We've been pretty safe drivers. And I think the key for me when I'm driving is to always anticipate that everybody else around you is going to do something dumb.
Yep.
And then just plan ahead. So that's why I never expect, which I think you're bad at, you always expect people to be good drivers. And I always expect them to not be.
Yeah.
And that changes.
I know they're not, but I just am like, I don't know. Expecting it. Expecting a lot more of people, but I know I got to lower my expectations.
That's like when I was driving around with Scott when he was visiting. I was giving him anxiety because every time I was in the right lane and somebody would come, I don't know if you've noticed that I do this. If somebody comes to like merge onto the highway, I will slow down so that they can get in front of me. Whereas you usually speed up to like get ahead so they can merge behind you.
Yes, because they're supposed to yield. That's why it's called a yield.
I know, but I just never expect them to do that.
I gauge it. If the person's moving with pace, I will slow down.
That's why Scott's always like, why are you doing this? I was like, I get nervous and they just need to, if they go ahead, then it's all good.
Yeah. So I've been in, I guess, 2 minor accidents. The first one was when I was young and I just had my I think I was 17 and I rear-ended someone. It was just on like a 35 mile per hour road. They stopped short because the person in front of them stopped short and turned in somewhere. So I stopped, barely hit the back of their bumper, went into where that person turned. We went over, there was no damage. All that happened was the screw from my license plate made an indentation in their back bumper. And I was like, do you want money to and no, you're fine. They even were they were talking this guy over here wasn't coming out of nowhere when it stopped. No, they were saying it out loud to me, but saying in the direction of the person who was there. You could, when you're, I guess 17, when you're 17 and under, you can only drive with one person that is that's younger than you. But when
I think we had something
like that. I can't remember exact. So we were at tennis practice in high school, but I was 18 because again, I was older. So I was driving everyone back home after tennis practice. And there's sometimes, so where the tennis courts are is where cops will kind of stop and look for people to catch them speeding on that road. Same road that I had in that little fender bender. So there's a cop up there, I think, talking to someone, and he radioed down to the other cop, hey, this kid just got in his car. Well, I'm
I was going to say, did he tell you this?
No, I'm assuming this because I got pulled over by a cop and I knew there was there at the bottom of the to get onto the road, there was the cop sitting there. And I'm like, all right, well, obviously I'm going to not do anything crazy in front of this cop. So I turned, started heading to my friend's house. I get pulled over. And I knew they pulled me over because, I mean, I also look young. And they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, why did you pull me over? And they said, oh, because they looked at my license and then saw I was 18. Like, oh, I can't remember if they admitted to it. I don't think so. They said made something up. They maybe like, oh, you didn't use your turn signal, BS. But I'm like, oh, I did. And like, you pulled me over because you thought I wasn't 18. And they like smiled but wouldn't admit to it. And then went to the car, came back and said, okay, you're good to go. And I'm like, yeah, you damn right I am. And to continue with my tickets and speedings and other stuffs. So I was driving to college. I was driving from my house to college, and I was on a highway, and I was going like 80 something in the left lane to pass people. It was raining a little bit, so it wasn't the smartest thing, but I was like late for something. So I was speeding, and the cop pulled me over. I got a ticket for that. And that was my first ticket. Then another time later on, I was on another highway. It's a 2-lane highway. This experience is crazy. I wish I had this on film because this cop was an idiot. So I'm driving in the left lane of a 2-lane like highway. In the median is a cop car and another car that stopped. So I'm like, okay, this car's broken down, or he pulled him over and they went in the median, the left, the middle of the lane, like all this grass. I'm probably, I don't know, a couple hundred feet away, and all of a sudden this cop swerves right out into the road and pretty much cuts off traffic. So I slow down, going from like, 65, 70 down to like 40. I remember looking like, okay, I'm like 30, 40 miles an hour. He swerves out, then he swerves back to the left lane. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell this guy's doing. I'm slowing down, and all of a sudden he starts like running me off the road. I'm like, what the hell is happening? So I pull over, I get into the shoulder.
He had no lights on?
I don't believe so. I don't believe he may have, but literally, like, I'm driving along going the speed limit and he just whips out in the road for no reason. So he pretty much runs me off the road. I pull over to the right. He like stops. He comes, you already done? I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you ran me off the road. And he's like, you see a cop car, you slow down, you stop. Mike, I did. So what he was trying to do was get the car that was in the middle to the right lane, like the idiot in the first place should have. If something happens to your car, don't stop in the middle of the highway or the median. Get to the right lane so people can help you. So this idiot was in the middle, couldn't get to the right. So the cop was trying to stop the traffic. I'm coming along and he cuts me off, pretty much runs me off the road. He goes up to the car to like help them, comes back to me, starts like chewing me out. I'm like, officer, listen to I pretty much told him the story. He like mumbles and grumbles, goes to his car, comes back. He's like, all right, listen, you got to just slow down. I'm like, what did you want me to do? You were in the middle lane. What am I supposed to do? Just stop every time I see a cop car? And he's like, well, and I'm like, what? And I remember like I was going to work with my dad and he's like, all right, who are you texting? I was like, I was calling my dad to say I'm running late because I got pulled over. He's like, blah, blah, but he didn't give me a ticket or anything because he was in the wrong because he was an idiot. And then I was pretty good for a long time. I got pulled over bringing my friends to the train station one time, and I was coming off the highway onto the 35-mile-per-hour road, and I might have been going 50, and the cop pulled me over, and he's like,
Is that the one that you tried to fight?
No, I didn't get a ticket. The cop pulled me over. He's like, oh, where are you coming from? And I said, the train station. I was dropping my friends off, and he's like, you're going fast. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I was coming off the highway. I was carrying my speed with me. There was like, you merge onto like the slower road. There was no car, so I just kind of like cruised. And he's like, all right, you're fine. Just slow it down. What I've learned, if you talk nicely and you admit fault when you are wrong and just use yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, or yes, officer, they'll usually be good with you. Then the most recent one that I got pulled over, I was on another highway. I was going 82 miles an hour in the left lane. I was passing someone, and I think the cop in the other lane, like the other road traveling the other way, maybe saw me or clocked me, radioed to another cop way down, pulled me over. And it was a highway trooper. He comes up like I had just murdered someone, yelling, giving me attitude. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? He's like, you were in the left lane going blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait, am I not allowed to be in the passing lane? I'm like, I said I was passing someone. Of course I was like speeding up to pass them. And then I said I was passing that, and someone in the right, because it's a 3-lane road, someone in the right lane sped up. So I had to get past them so that I can merge back over. flipping out on me like I had done the worst thing, because he said you're not supposed to be in the left lane, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, you're not supposed to be in the left lane? It's the passing lane. When he came back, he gave me the ticket, and I said, officer, can you just explain to me what you meant by you're not supposed to? He's like, oh, you want to fight? I'm like, no, I'm like, you know what? It's fine, whatever. And I remember I hired I had never done it before. I hired, because after I got the ticket, I got like 50 letters for like local attorneys to fight the ticket. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Screw it. Like, I don't want the points. I don't want my insurance to go up. I'll try this. I can afford it. So I hired this attorney. I go to the court to do the whatever. And so I get there, the guy's there, and he has another guy, a kid who's younger than me, and he was doing like 90 something. So he was like big time screwed.
Oh my God.
So you go to court, and then they like, whatever. And they're like, all right, if you want to like talk to the prosecutor, you got to line up outside the hall. So the lawyer's like, you guys sit here. And he just like cuts the line, goes in, talks to them. And he comes up to me. And he's like, all right, you're fine. You're going to get like a reckless driving or whatever it is. No points. You just got to pay a fine or something. And I'm like, whatever. Go up into court to the judge, like, blah, blah, blah. You did this and this. And you just have to be like, yep. Okay. That was it. So dumb. It's just it's just a scam to make money.
Yeah.
So, and then the worst accident I got in was we were here. This is, you had just gotten pregnant.
Oh, we didn't know that yet.
We didn't know that yet. We were a week away. No, we did, because we were going to Florida.
No, I literally found out that next week. Like, we were going to Florida before I found out. Like,
so this happened right at the bottom of our road. So the bottom of the road goes out to like a 2-lane, not like highway, but like, I don't know what you call it. Throughway, whatever.
Yeah, it's not a highway. It's like a main road.
A main road. It's like a 45-mile-per-hour road. And I was bringing Lauren to pick up her car. Your tires were getting changed, like literally right down that road. So in order to make that turn, I had to kind of like make it a little wider, because I have a truck, and in order for me to like get into that right lane and not hit the curb, I have to take a little wider. So I was a little more in the middle of the road, which is fine. I wasn't impeding anyone. We're waiting, and all of a sudden we finally get it clear, and I start turning, and all of a sudden my car is scraping up against another car. I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, like neither of us saw, and I was on the passenger side where the car was, and I didn't even see it.
To make a long story short, what happens is you're only supposed to make out of our road, you're only supposed to make a right.
Yeah, there's no left-hand
But what happened was what probably happened was this other guy thought I was making a left, even though some people make a left, even though I had my blinker on. So he probably tried to get around me to make a right. And then as I'm turning, I hit him, completely tore off his front bumper. And I felt bad, but I was also like, dude, what were you doing? Like, you were completely in the wrong here. We get out, we exchange information. We don't call the cops. He was ready to drive off with his bumper, like dragging on the ground. I'm like, dude, like, I have something. I can tie this up for you.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this is like peak COVID too.
Yeah.
So also I remember being nervous of you going out and like helping, but like, what were you gonna do? Leave the guy? Like,
yeah, I was mad when he's like, "Oh, calm down." I honestly think he was high, because he seemed very like spacey.
Yeah.
So we talk, we exchange information. I calm down. He seems cool. He's like, "Don't worry about it." He didn't really admit fault, but it was just kind of like you got that sense that he knew that it was his fault. So bring Lauren to get her car. I go back home and I'm like, I might as well just call my insurance just to like say what happened. I'm calling and talking to them like, oh, we just got the claim in from him. And I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, he's saying it's all your fault. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, and that you begged to not call the cops.
And then I begged not to call it, which is completely false.
Why would we not want to call the cops?
I explained to the insurance, like, we live here. This is right down our road. I explained everything, more or less what I just told to the podcast. And they're like, okay, fine. So I had exchanged numbers with this guy. So this guy calls me up, basically like threatening me that he's going to sue me. His dad's a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, like, we know this was your fault. Like, he's like, no, he's like, you said this. I'm like, I said this because I said to him, why were you in my blind spot? Because what happened was he was like.
Well, also the whole point is it's not a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
It is a 1-lane road, and he was not next to you. We were the first people there. He legally needed to be behind you.
Yeah.
There's no 2 lanes, and there's no. So that's why, like, when Bobby was I recorded the whole thing because I was
the
like,
conversation.
Yeah, because he basically called and tried to like extort money from us, like saying, well, like threatening that they were going to sue us. and then was like, we could just like take the easy road though, and you could pay me. I forget what
like $3,000.
Some crazy amount. First of all,
I thought it was like $3,000 or something.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
he said because my car has a custom paint job. I'm like, well, whose fault is that? Like, we didn't tell you to get.
So
a
what
custom
happened?
paint
What
job.
also happened was he had Wisconsin plates on. So I was like, oh, were you here like traveling? He's like, oh no. He's like, I actually live up the road. So he lives on like the same street as
Yeah,
us.
we think there was some stuff going on because like, yeah, he had Wisconsin plates.
Which
We like tried to look up stuff on this guy because
Yeah.
I was like not feeling safe because I was like, you gave him your license. He knows where we live. He's like threatening to have like his dad sue us and all this stuff. So we literally said, we were like, we don't feel comfortable paying you money. If you want to like take us to small claims court
Yeah.
or whatever,
go ahead.
we would rather do that.
I said, we'll deal with the insurance. Like this
Yeah.
is not my fault. I was being
And
like,
basically, when you told the insurance company, the best was like, oh, that makes more sense. Basically, the story we gave, the real story, made
Yeah.
more sense than whatever the heck story he was giving. So basically, like, it came back that the insurance said that he was 100% at fault, which they usually never really do. Like, especially, I think, is New Jersey no fault? I don't know. Well, basically, they ruled in our favor, the insurance company, from like their research, saying that he was 100% at fault, this guy. And then he basically like called to yell at us that like he doesn't know why that it was our fault, and he has no idea why the insurance company was saying it's his fault. And I was like, because dude, and so then yeah, so we were like literally waiting. We were going to Florida and we're like waiting for this guy to either show up at our house or like give us a summons, and we never heard from him. And now I remember looking up, I was like, in so much, I always jokingly say that this whole experience is why we had a girl because there's like a theory that more girls are born to people in times of stress because like girls,
which a lot of my friends who had babies during the pandemic, most of them,
and
all of them except one had a girl.
Yeah, and at the little gym, the majority of
Yep.
the kids around that age are girls.
Yep.
So just saying,
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
want a girl, just be super stressed out.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
But yeah, I think that's why we always say jokingly that like the pandemic created more girls. I don't know if that's true. I need to look it up sometime. But I always say, because I literally I think I found out the next week that I was pregnant, but I remember having like panic attacks about this whole situation, that this guy was gonna like show up at our house or like try to get money or try to like expose where we live on, because
Yeah,
I didn't know if
something.
he knew that like what my job was, or I didn't know anything. But then I said, I was like, ooh, but I was like, being pregnant kind of works in our favor, because that's even more reason of like, you were trying to get pregnant. Why would you be driving recklessly with like your possibly pregnant girlfriend?
It was just a crazy
wife.
experience. What happened? Yeah.
It was crazy. And now it's been over 2 years, which I remember looking up like what's the statute of limitation, and he can't, like, if he decided today, because some people can like sue years later and be like, sorry, I had these lifelong problems from this fender bender, I want to take you to court now. So he's out of, it's been
Statute of
over 2 years,
limitations,
so he
whatever it
can't
is.
even like try now.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah,
It
that
was-
was crazy. And it was such like I didn't even count that as like an accident, because it was literally like us
My car was
scraping up.
completely fine.
Yeah.
I had maybe a scratch, but more like a paint scratch. I tore his bumper up because I have a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was funny because I went from feeling like bad to like screw this guy.
Yeah. And I kept it just in case
Because
anything
we like
ever-
left on good terms. I like helped him out.
Yeah. And like
even
I
though
said,
I
it was
didn't
during
have to.
COVID.
Yeah.
So like you put yourself at risk, like not, because he didn't have a mask on. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a mess. It was not, but we learned a valuable lesson. What was the valuable lesson, Bobby?
Always call the cops if you get in an accident. So if you get in an accident
Even if the other person
And there's
pretends
damage.
like everything's cool.
and there's damage or just call the cops, because then they can file an accident report.
Yeah.
And they'll have the official report that can clear you if it's,
But
you're not at
also-
fault or whatever.
But also it worked in our favor as well by not calling the cops, because if he tried to file it, that was one, because I was literally, guys, I was doing so much research because I was so stressed about like what this was going to entail. And I did research, and they basically said that if you want to try to sue somebody for damages, but you don't file a police report, there's nothing they can, it's all going to be hearsay. And if like and because our story makes sense because it's the truth, like you're kind of screwed.
And we also had like the receipt of like where we got Lauren from her
Yeah,
car. So our
that
story
helped.
had like proof
That
behind
helped
it.
too. We had like when I went and picked up my car, and then where the place was literally right down the street. So like we would have, because he was claiming that we were making a left and he thought we were making a left and that's why he was trying to make a right,
Yeah.
which A, was an illegal left turn. B, there was no 2 lanes, so you were still in the wrong even if you thought we were trying to make a left. You
Yeah.
should have pulled up behind us
Yeah.
even if we were doing something illegal. And C, we have proof that we were going somewhere that we had to make a right
Yeah.
to get to, and we have like the timestamp and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was screwed. There was no. That's why after we like worked out, like talked everything out, I was like, oh, we're good.
Yeah.
All we have to worry about is if this guy's like a crazy person and is gonna like get
Yeah.
pissed at us for.
I mean,
the
I
hell.
think his like he came from money or whatever, so I knew it was. I think he was just trying to like scam us. But I was really hoping I maybe even happened that because there's a couple businesses in that area and there may be security cameras, so I was
Oh, yeah.
hoping that there would be footage of it. And what I really hope happened is that either they got it, somehow got it, and they saw that he was in the fault, and his dad was like pissed at this kid.
Yeah, we kept
Or maybe the dad was like, "Oh, we can get security." He's like, "You know what? No, it wasn't."
Yeah.
Like he had to.
we
admit
kept
that.
running through scenarios. I was like, because he kept saying his dad's a lawyer, and I was like, I'm sure he is because you have a nice car and like. Also, your license plates don't match where you live, so you're probably doing something that's saving you on like car insurance, like
yeah,
stuff rich people do, getting
Yeah.
around like things.
manipulating the
So
system.
I'm assuming what happened is after we said like, no, you can take us to court. That's fine because we have enough evidence to like show that you were in the wrong anyway. I'm sure if his story was true and he was going to tell his dad probably heard the story, went to the location and was like, you're still in the wrong.
Yeah.
even if your made up story was true, you're still in the wrong because it's not a 2-lane road. You were using it as a 2-lane road. The only way you could have got, oh yeah, that's what he was saying, that he was already there.
Yeah, which
when
is,
we pulled up and I was like, you are out of your goddamn mind.
Yeah. I vividly remember that because I remember pulling up. There was someone on the left side trying to cross over, and like because we weren't
Oh,
in a
person,
rush,
yeah.
a person walking. So I like waved him over, and there was a bunch of cars. So
And I even vividly remember me being like, why is he pulling so far away from the curb
Yeah.
to make a turn?
yeah,
So I knew nobody was there because I said, why are you like, and it's because he has a wider truck.
so
he
I have
likes give
to
himself
make it.
clearance.
I have to give myself some more room because if I pull up to the curb, I'm going to hit the curb when I make the turn.
The lesson of our ranty story is even if you get into like a minor accident, it is always better to call the cops because somebody could pretend they're cool and that everything's fine. Oh yeah, that's what he was saying. He was claiming he had
Oh,
neck
yeah.
and back
Yeah.
injuries. That's when I started getting pissed because I was like, oh, he's gonna start trying to like come for legit money, saying
Yeah.
that like that's when I was getting nervous. I didn't care about like the car cost if for some reason they ruled that, but I was like, if he's gonna start claiming that he
Yeah, he's
can't
like, oh, my
work
neck's
or-
been hurt. I was like, you are
Yeah, I was like, you are out of here.
such a scammer.
It literally, yeah, that's why. And there's no way. That's why I said we literally we collided in like such a slow.
Yeah, I was going like 10 miles
It was
an hour.
literally as if he was sitting in a parked car and we just kind of like grazed the front of his car. That would have been the extent of that as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was done. That I hate when people come across as being like super nice and like thankful and whatever, and then all of a sudden they're just like, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to
I'm gonna
scam
sue you and pretend like you hurt me. Like I
Yeah.
hate those type of people because I would never do that to somebody. I just like I don't understand.
Yeah, but
And especially because they had money. He was
Yeah.
driving a freaking Mercedes.
Yeah, it was a
right?
Mercedes or something.
Oh my god, I can't.
I just remember calling the insurance company back and like telling them like, hey, this guy
Yeah, we
called.
sent photo. We had photos.
Yeah, I had photos,
luckily.
all this stuff. And I like the receipt. I had the receipt for the place and I sent it all. Like, yeah, you can send this to us. Probably don't need it. But I remember calling them and when they said like, oh yeah, we 100% like know this is
Yeah,
you.
really.
And they're like, if he calls you again, just ignore it. Don't listen to them.
Yeah, I
Like,
think we-
they're like, you're fine. If they do anything, it's gonna come through us. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah, I think you even told the guy that you were like, stop calling and texting me. You
Yeah.
have to do it through.
Yeah,
insurance.
I think he texted me and I was just like, please stop
Yeah.
contacting me. We're gonna.
Which is the good, and then he did, luckily, but
Yeah.
we weren't dealing with like a super crazy person, just a mean scammer person.
Yeah. So that's that story.
Yeah. Wow, we've been talking on this subject longer than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I forgot. There's another crazy story that happened
okay.
when I was younger. We were in college and my friends used to be in a band and they were playing in Asbury Park. So we're driving back on the parkway. I was with my one other friend in my Mustang and we're pulling it up to a toll booth. And I had Easy Pass at the time. And all of a sudden I remember I was like, PJ, my foot is all the way down the gas pedal. Something is wrong with my car. Thankfully, I was right by the toll booth, so I was able to pull into the toll booth parking lot. My car just wouldn't go.
Is this the Mustang?
Yeah, the Mustang. And then my friends who had already passed, I called them. They had to like loop back around, pick us up. Me and my dad went back the next day, started my car, started getting it going. We got it off the highway or the parkway, thankfully, because to get a car towed off that road is like so much more expensive. Got it off. I remember seeing like the heat on the engine like getting really high. Got it off onto a side road, got it towed back. What ended up happening was like the hose that connects the coolant to the engine, something along those lines, had come off and like disconnected. So my car could have blown up on me pretty much.
Jeez.
But that was like the last straw with that car. And then my dad helped me buy the Honda Fit, which was one of my favorite cars. If you are in the market for like
that was a really
good
car too.
Affordable beginner car, I highly recommend a Honda Fit. It was a great car. We drove back in like a huge snowstorm. I was able to fit a canoe in it, even though it cracked my windshield a little bit.
Are you going to say what happened to your car?
Oh, I forgot about that. Also, the tire is very valuable. So
yeah, we learned that the Honda Fit has the most stealable tire.
Most desirable
tires of being stolen. Like, that's not a joke. That's actually an article that we found.
A couple years later, when I had met Lauren and we were living in Queens, I had my car and I would park it on the side of the street. You had to like alternate, whatever, no problem. Never had any issues. Our last day there, before we moved into our own apartment in Manhattan, we got up. We're happy because we're leaving the apartment.
We were going to get
McDonald's. We start walking up to my car, and it was parked in a fine. There wasn't like no.
It was in front of houses.
It was in front of houses, no problem. Fine. I walk up to it, and I'm like, "Huh? Did I get booted?" Because my mind was like freaked out.
For anybody who doesn't know, booted is when police officers in the city will put a lock on your tire, and you have it's basically you got like a ticket, and instead of towing it,
and Lauren goes, "No, your tires are missing." All of my tires, including the rim, everything was gone.
Rims, tires,
stolen,
bolts.
So I'm out there. I call the cops. Cops come. People start coming out. Like the people.
The cops took forever to come too.
The people who because they probably this happens all the time. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Like the people who live in the area, like the neighbors, come out and like, hey, sorry, yeah, we heard it happened last night. And I'm like, what? And like, yeah, they came around. Like, I'm like, why didn't you call the cops? And they like. So what happens is people go around and it's like a NASCAR pit crew, essentially. They come in with like air jacks. Within like 3 minutes, they come in.
Yeah, they come with like pickup trucks.
Yeah.
And like
jack up your car and just take everything off in under 3 minutes. And like didn't even put it on cinder blocks. They put it on bricks, like little, like small bricks. So to make another very long story short.
Yeah, that was an entire day.
Cops come. My dad comes. We eventually get a tow truck. They lift it up. And as they're lifting it up, all this like fluid and liquid and gas, everything from the front starts leaking out. It basically, they did, because they were such jerks that they couldn't even put on cinder blocks. They put it on bricks. All the engine and everything was just all on the ground.
Yeah, we thought your car was totaled after that.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, luckily.
We got it back like within like 2 days.
And then you got locks for after that they were like, do you want to purchase locks for your tires?
Yeah, tire locks.
So you basically need like, a special key. So they can't just come take them.
And we brought it to like an auto body in the area and they fixed it within like a couple days. Cause then, that next day we had to move from Queens to Manhattan.
I forgot what we did.
Well, we had my dad come. He had like
my car.
I had my friends.
Well, my mom came too.
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah, that was an
terrible.
experience.
That was a very terrible experience. If you go on my Instagram and you scroll back down, this was like what?
Yeah, people thought we photoshopped it. That's how terrible.
So this was like 2012, 2013, probably 2012.
Yeah.
If you scroll down, you'll see my car and with no tires, the Honda Fit.
Yeah, that was a nice send off from Queens. It was basically like how that whole experience living there was. I hated that house, and
I did not like living there.
Yeah, the landlord was terrible, and the roommate situation was not good, and trying to walk from the subway station was terrifying.
Yeah.
And that was all we could afford. So we and I even left the lease early. That's what it was, because my roommates were still staying there another couple months.
I think at 9 months.
Yeah, I had to keep paying.
Yeah,
because that was the only way I could leave. I said I need to leave, and they were like, "You can't. You're on a lease." And I said, "That's fine." I think you paid a little more of our rent so that I could do it.
Yeah, I don't know what we did.
Like I paid, I have the spreadsheet still of me
that's funny.
paying the old rent and the new rent.
Yeah.
And then, but then I think when my old rent let up, then I paid more of our new one.
Yeah, whatever.
But it
I
was
don't
just
remember.
it was a bad situation. We were like, I gotta get out
And
of this.
then after the fit, we moved.
Oh, that's an episode I want to do. Roommates.
Roommates. There we go.
That's
What
a
do we
good
got?
one.
Wait, we had roommates and Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
You guys are getting a little inside information on future.
One more. I was gonna say we've gone a long time, and I still want to listen to the creepy.
Oh yeah, I
the
got some
super
good
stories.
creepy stories.
But my last one is that just reminded me of. Did I ever tell you? So the Suzuki, my other car that like I don't think they make them anymore, but Suzuki Aereo made it through everything, and it was very cheap, and it literally like was driving like a go-kart. It did not accelerate fast. It was a very safe car. It did its job. But we went to a house party one. This whole episode. I'm like, yeah, we went from one party to another, but I was always DD, so I was good. But we went to a house party, and this was toward the end of high school, was all the way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was being rented out by like some of our older friends who had graduated and whatever. But they would have so many people there that we would park on like the grass area.
Mhm.
And it was this big, long gravel road to get out to that area. So I'm parked on the grass area. We were at this party. We wanted to leave. We came out and we realized that the normal way to get out of the grass, somebody had blocked us in. We went back in, tried to find whoever's car it was, couldn't figure it out. Came back out. We get in the car, and my friend, I think you met, Dan, is in the front, and he's like, I think we could just... He's like, it's basically like it was a grass area. And then like, those little like dips that kind of looks like a stream went by at some point, but there's no water in it anymore. It's just like a dip. He's like, I think if you take it slow enough, you could just like drive down the dip and back up, and it'll be fine.
I forgot about another issue I had that's similar to this.
Oh, well, anyway, I was like, okay. So we drove the ditch. We basically drove down and over this thing, but it was not good. And all of a sudden we just hear this like really loud metal like snapping sound, but like the car it kept moving. It was fine. Everything felt and seemed fine. There was no like check engine light. We're like, okay, this is fine. I drove that car for another, I don't know, month after that incident. We bring it in for an oil change, and the guy tells my mom, we can't give you this car back. It is extremely dangerous to drive. And she said, oh, why? And it was because we snapped the wheel axle, apparently. And he said, I don't know how your daughter has been driving this car.
You didn't notice it?
No. And he said, he was like, the wheels could literally just fall off at any point.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, and then my mom comes and she's like, how? She goes, this guy couldn't explain to me how he even thought you did this. And I was trying to think back, and I was like, oh. My friend's house, we had to drive over this grass thing, and we heard this snapping metal sound.
And you
I guess
never
that's
thought to
what
check
it was.
yeah.
We just, I don't know. I think when we got back to my friend's house, like Dan was a big car guy, but it was dark, and I think he looked under it and was like, it seems fine. Left, and we never talked about it again. But yeah, that and again with that car, they were like, I think it might be totaled because the cost to fix it is probably going to exceed what the car is worth. But then luckily they said like it wasn't as bad as it had looked. Like it would still need to be replaced, but they did it for cheap. And then I got the car back.
That car didn't want to quit?
Yeah, and then remember my mom took it to Florida?
Yeah.
They had it for a while down there. That car lasted forever. It was a good one. Good first car.
Yeah.
I liked it, even though it was a little Tonka truck and people made fun of me for it. But everybody wanted to drive with me in it, so. Hey, Bobby, you know what's really creepy?
What's that?
It's February already.
It is. It's like halfway through February almost.
I know. The year is flying already.
It just goes all so quick.
I mean, it probably has to do with the fact that, I don't know, we're working all the time because we're running a business.
Yep.
Plus, we have a toddler who's running around the house.
Yep.
Makes it harder to leave the house and get things done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's super important to plan early so that you can make the most of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Get ahead of it. Get ahead of the curve.
So don't wait any longer to level up your small business and set your year up for success. You can get ahead of the competition by using Stamps.com to mail and ship, who happens to be the sponsor of today's episode.
Hey, Stamps.com lets you print your own postage and shipping labels right from your home or office. It's ready to go in minutes, so you can get back to running your business and your busy life.
Use Stamps.com to print postage wherever you do business. All you need is a computer and a printer. They even send you a free scale so you'll have everything you need to get started.
So convenient.
Yeah, especially because we're business owners and parents. Getting to the post office with a toddler is not the easiest or most fun thing.
If you need a package pickup, you can easily schedule it through your Stamps.com dashboard.
Set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com today.
Sign up with promo code ZSIDE for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts.
Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code ZSIDE. I wired it up special I was like one of the first people to have my car wired to connect to an iPod.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why all my friends like driving in the car because they
Was it
could
the
load
tape
up.
deck? Was it the one that would like the cassette tape?
No.
I had that.
I have seen that, but no, it wasn't that. It was literally like, it was wired like as if the car is here, but it had to be hardwired.
Yeah.
So like you brought it somewhere, they hardwired the cable in.
That's cool.
And it was one of those old, you remember the old iPod cables?
Yeah,
They were like
30 pin ones.
they would like click in. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like chunky.
Yeah.
It was that. So then when I got a new one, I was like, oh crap. Then you have to get another one hardwired in when they changed the cord. Good times.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed talking about driving more than I
Yeah.
thought.
I had a couple more, but they're not. They're whatever.
I was gonna touch on real quick before your scary stuff, how you feel about self-driving now
Oh.
that we're reaching that level of
I think I'm pretty torn on it.
Teslas and self-driving and
I can't wait until it's viable, until everyone has it, because I love and hate driving at the same time. I think it would be incredible to be able to get in your car and not have to pay attention and just let.
yeah, like a train, like being on a train.
Because the
or a
biggest
plane
problem,
or-
and one of the few things I do agree with the Musket is that user error.
Did you say
is-
the musket?
Yeah, Elon Musket. One of the biggest things with car accidents is user error. So if self-driving cars all operate and everything flows smoothly, and it's all just like working with like AI, whatever,
Yeah.
just everything's
Well,
working
you know,
systematically.
planes mainly
Yes.
drive on AI now.
Fly.
So sorry, fly. So why
Automatic
can't
pilot.
cars do it?
Correct. And I am looking forward to it. I don't know how to feel about self-driving and electric vehicles.
Do you think it'll happen in
as
our
is.
lifetime?
Yes, it hopefully can and should, and I think it will. I think that date is getting pushed back farther. Just the more I learn about like EVs and self-driving, and then the stubbornness of older generations and other, our current and other generations of people who just, you can't take my car away from me. It's like, yeah, but if it reduces that, if we can reduce thousands, tens of thousands of deaths and automobile deaths and kids dying from car accidents,
Or even drunk driving. in
Drunk
general. Like,
driving.
if your car could drive you home
Yeah,
safely,
yeah.
you would not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to worry about people being dumb and taking it off the autopilot, but like it'd be way less.
I am all for it when it's viable and it's affordable and it can be in every vehicle. And similar how I feel about electric vehicles. I know the reason that everyone thinks like, oh, it's saving the environment, but then there's the whole argument about like getting the battery and how that's like rare earth materials and all the things that go along with that. So
There's pros and cons to
there really
everything.
is pros and cons to everything. There is no like great solution to everything. What about you? What's your feelings on it?
I feel like I already don't trust computers with simple things in my life. Like I still get nervous that like if I set an alarm on my phone that it's not going to go
Yeah.
off if it's something really important. I don't know. I think it would take me I don't think in our lifetime it'll be like fully
You don't think so?
flushed out. No, I don't. I think there's too much competing interests. You're talking about taking away Uber and all of that would be impacted. You're talking about taking away jobs from gas companies and drillers. You're talking about, I mean, you would
that's
still need
EVs.
gas. You would
That's
still need
EVs,
gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but self-driving,
No, it's not just electric. It's
I
gas
guess.
cars. I don't see a reason why it isn't or can't be.
I guess, is it in gas cars? I feel like you need
well, I
a certain
mean-
amount of electric to run it. And that's why it's more ideal in an EV.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know your car can
It can kind of self-drive.
self-drive.
It does like the lane assist.
yeah,
and-
lane assist, and what's cool is like if you have it set.
Yeah, but you don't even like that when it corrects your driving. You want the whole car to do it?
That's what I said. As of now, I don't think it's where it needs to be.
Gotcha.
But
I just don't know if I can let go. Like, do you want to put your
I can.
your complete faith in a machine?
I mean, if I know that it's been proven throughout years of research and demonstration, and yes, I'm sure there will be accidents, there will be malfunctions, but it'll be less than the user
Or maybe
error.
like at the level of, because planes still have
Yeah.
malfunctions, but it's
But let's
very
say,
rare.
I don't know how many there is, but I know it's a lot. Let's say there's 100,000 automobile related deaths a year. If you can say we put all self-driving cars and we tested it in this state and it went from like 100,000 down to there was like 10, then it's like, well, that's proof enough for itself that. Now I understand like throughout the year, I mean, ideally it should get better over time.
I gotcha.
But
I agree. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it happening in
I'm
our
completely
lifetime.
fine with letting go as long as it's like proven that it's viable and has been researched and whatever.
Gotcha.
I like the fact that like what Tesla is doing and, kind of doing it now, and other car companies. I mean, you have to start somewhere. So, but I'm not a big fan of Tesla's currently as is. After we test drove and I hated almost everything about
Bobby
it.
did not like it.
I hated everything about it besides how it drove.
I liked.
It drove incredibly.
What was the one I liked?
The Y?
I loved the Y, except for the fact that there was no dashboard display.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
think.
dumb.
And I've heard a lot of people that like they say you get used to it, but it's like, why do you have to get used to something?
I think it's dumb. I think the
I don't
design of Teslas
It's just weird.
are
Why do you have to?
horrible.
The whole point of you driving is like to make sure you don't look not on the road. And
Yeah.
on a Tesla Y with no dashboard that's right there in front of you, you have to look to the right to see everything, and that freaks me out. I don't even like doing it in my car that does
Yeah.
have a dashboard to have to go. Yeah,
I also don't
it.
like how everything is controlled through one like screen panel. Everything has to revolve around
Yeah, if
that.
your screen breaks, what do you
Screen
do?
breaks, or if it's broken or malfunctioning or not working, like you're whole screwed. Yeah, I am not a fan of Teslas currently as is. I think they're very cool. I think driving wise, if they
Yeah, it was
worked,
fun to
if like they
drive,
took
but-
the driving tech and worked with another car company to design the user interface and the interior and made it not feel like such a piece of crap, I think it would be awesome. But
Damn.
I think it's crappy. I think the interior design of Teslas right now is horrible. It's way too futuristic-y for what it's so impractical. I'm a person of practicality, and Teslas,
But I just didn't like the steering wheel too, which is funny because they just gave you the
The
option
yoke.
to get a
Yeah.
regular one because people didn't like it so much.
yeah, because we test drove the X and the Y, and the X has the worst windshield ever designed. I think whoever designed it is an absolute moron. And
Oh my god.
I don't care. Come at me. I think I will
They
stand.
didn't like the visor.
And the visor. It's like
sun
a
visor.
2-inch thick visor.
didn't like
It's
the
so
visor either.
dumb. And then
It
I
didn't
remember
do
your brother's like,
anything.
oh, you can get it your window tinted. It's like, no, this is not a practical thing.
But also, it's a premium car.
You're-
If
yeah.
you're spending a lot of money. Why are you
You're
spending
spending-
extra money to fix the problems that
You're
they
spending
should've
over
fixed?
like around $100,000 for this car, and it has so many flaws with it. Yeah. So that's my little rant about Teslas. I think they will get better. Yeah.
This is all after we test drove them.
Yes.
He had a meltdown.
Oh, I was.
I think you were on
infuriated.
board until we started driving it. And you were in it. and you were
Infuriated.
like-
Because we drove the
Because you don't
Y.
like things that are impractical, and a lot
I
of things are
hate
impractical about it. It's the coolness, futuristic vibe.
But as
a lot
far
of
as
people
driving
like,
it
you
went, drive wise was great. It drove
Yeah, it was fun.
incredible. I thought the drive was. That's why I said if they took that, the tech and the driving and matched it with better interface design
Yeah.
and just like interior, it would be great and it would be worth the money.
The other thing I don't like is people talk about how real mileage anxiety is, or EV anxiety,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
range anxiety.
Range anxiety. There you go. Yeah, I can't handle that. Like, I can't handle. At least I know with my car, if I'm getting low on gas, I'm never really worried because I'm like,
There's a million
can
gas
find one.
stations.
But even in our area, like it's super populated. We live like right outside the city, and I can only think there's only one main actual Tesla station, and it's at the mall, which I don't want to go to the mall. That's super packed just to charge
Yeah.
my EV. I mean, you could charge at home, but like if I'm driving from point A to point B, there's a lot of times especially like even to Florida, like you have to plan
Plot out.
out your route.
and that'll get better.
Yeah,
That'll
will.
get better. I just think it's all. This is like the alpha beta phases.
I don't
of
need it
this.
yet.
No.
I'm good.
I don't want to be a
waiting
first
for other people to test.
because
it out
because
for
I
me.
had the Ford F-150. A lot of my friends like, oh, you're gonna get the Lightning, and I'm like, it's really cool. I like it, but I don't want the first generation of something.
Yeah.
I'll wait till like the third or fourth or fifth. I let it hatch out all the issues, but I am interested in that. But yeah, I don't know. I think the whole
Yeah.
EV.
Well, my car's a hybrid,
Yeah,
so
I
I felt
think
like
hybrids are cool.
that was like dipping my feet into seeing what it's like.
But I think the whole like EVs like requiring people to drive electric cars, I think it's going to get pushed back. I don't
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, that's right. They set a date, right?
like 2030 or 2035, one of those.
Yeah,
I know
that's- it feels-
California thinks 2030, which there's no chance that's happening. I know it's only 2023, except we got 7 years and a lot can happen in that time, but I don't see it.
I don't see it happening either.
this
They
isn't
even pushed
even-
back the real ID.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get a real ID by this year, and they were like, "No, it's not happening." So they pushed it back. Nothing works
with
timely.
COVID, I think has delayed a lot of stuff, but I just don't think EVs are like the simple solution to all of our
No, it's not a simple.
concerns with
No.
like pollution and whatnot, but it's definitely the right track in terms of trying to figure out that problem. But okay, so I found a couple like scary stories that revolve around driving. I didn't want to get like any scary accidents or because we know all
We
about,
already talked about.
we talked-
Well, not scary accident.
Yeah.
We didn't. We luckily have never been in a very scary. accident.
Actually, I think I'm going to start with no. I'll start with. So I have a couple stories, and then so I grew up in New Jersey, and there's a famous road which Lauren is also familiar with because it's close to New York. It's called Clinton Road, and it's like this like stretch of road in this like the woods, and it's got a bunch of creepy stuff about it. We'll talk about that. But
I just know I was gonna save that for like a New Jersey episode, but we need more topics for this one, and also. Bobby has told me that there is lots and lots of
there's a
scary
whole
things in
website.
New Jersey. So
just go to
it's-
weirdnewjersey.com.
Yeah, there used to be a magazine with it
Yeah,
too.
just go to their website.
There's enough weird stuff in New Jersey.
Bunch of weird stuff. Sorry if the camera's wobbling. All right. Anyway, so this one is titled. So I found these were like Reddit stories that I found.
Okay.
Whatever one gave me goosebumps, I kept them. There was a couple. All right. So this one's called Ghost Crash. So my daughter and I were driving from Wichita Falls, Texas to Oklahoma City and I-44 to catch our plane to Pennsylvania. It was 4:05. I remember because I was afraid to miss our flight and the highway was empty. We were almost out of the city limits when we saw an older model car, light blue or silver, launch off an embankment, roll 3 or 4 times end over end. I could actually see a human fly through the air. I pulled over and called 911 and gave them the GPS coordinates of the overpass. I asked dispatch if I should back down the highway, and she told me not to because there was an officer less than 2 miles away, or less than 2 minutes away. 20 minutes later, she gets a call from the police asking exactly where it was. And she repeated the information. The officer said that he was sitting at that location. There was nothing there. Not a skid mark, no broken glass or flattened grass or anything, nothing at all. So when she gets home, she Googled it, and this is what she found out. Exactly 10 years prior, a group of teenagers were speeding down the road when they lost control, flipped over a guide rail, and rolled down the embankment. All 6 kids were killed, and they were driving a 1986 Oldsmobile at the time of the accident, and the time of the accident was 4:05.
That's crazy.
So she saw the ghost.
I feel like I've heard that story for some
Yeah.
reason. I don't know where or why, but that's creepy. That's creepy.
All right, got another one here called Hitchhiker, which
Okay.
is also another facet of driving that is very creepy. Don't really do that anymore.
I don't think I've ever seen a hitchhiker actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so this person says they had to drive by a graveyard at night on their way home from work. And the reason they hated this because a male ghost would hop in the car and sit in the back seat with them. He looked solid too, and they could see them in the rear view mirror. They never told anyone until their nephew told him that they hated driving past that graveyard because the ghost of a man would hop in the car for a ride. He would tell him, "If you ain't Jesus, get the hell out of my car."
That's so weird.
That's a weird one, right? So this one's called Fake Police Car. So they were driving through Arizona at night.
Oh, I worry about this all the time.
And a black Yukon with police lights tailgated us. My wife said not to pull over as it doesn't look like a police car. It followed us for 4 minutes and then pulled away. I almost fell for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they do you know it's illegal for a unmarked police car to pull over a woman?
Oh. Wow.
It's special treatment.
Interesting.
It's because there was obviously
Yeah.
people pretending to be police officers to like
Yeah,
kidnap women.
So to go along with that, I hate people who drive the cars that police officers drive.
Yeah, I hate
The
that
SUVs, when they have that Ford SUV and it's like, are you a cop? Are you a cop? And you have a roof rack on your car. If you drive the same cars that cops drive, just know you're a jerk.
I did learn, I don't know if this is still true, but I learned you could tell if it's an undercover cop car because of the extra
rims.
mirror.
There's the rim. There's
There's like
mirror.
an extra mirror you're not supposed to have on your car unless you're actually a police
There's the extra
officer.
mirror. And they're also supposed to have like no hubcaps.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you'll just
Oh.
see like the black of like the tire rim.
Yeah, not to say, yeah, but if you're a woman and you're alone, they can't pull you over. But I'm pretty sure if like I was with you, they could put an unmarked cop car could pull us over. But like
Interesting.
they can't pull over women that are alone.
Didn't know that. All right.
Yeah.
So this one's called Haunted.
Oh, they also can't pat you down. I also
Yeah,
learned
I
that.
know,
They
It's like if
have
you go to the airport or like a
yeah,
club,
they
you have to have a
radio.
female.
They have to radio for like a female cop to
Yep.
come if they want to pat you down.
All right, this one's called Haunted Car Speakers. So this person was driving home from an overnight shift early in the morning. It was a black road, very remote, and they were tired. The radio was off. It was dead silent. And they say naturally they fell asleep at the wheel, which obviously isn't good. And then suddenly a voice comes through the car speaker, right as rain, which is, I think, the person's Reddit name.
Okay.
So I think let's say their name was Bob. So I think they were using their Reddit handle as the name. Let's just say, Bob, it said in a loud, stern voice. And they jerked awake to find themselves slowly driving through a field that they drove through while they were sleeping. The heart was pounding from the voice. No idea how it happened. It said my name. I fiddled with the sound on and off with the buttons. The radio was off. It was a very strange experience.
Crazy.
All right. So I want to talk to you all about Clinton Road, New Jersey. So it's this one road in New Jersey. It's really terrifying. It's Clinton Road. It's off Route 23 North in West Milford. The road is well known for many mysterious occurrences and weird activity. There's the Cross Castle, which used to be off Clinton Road. It had dungeons where many bodies were found. There was Satan worshiping activity active around the castle, and the KKK was also rumored to be active in that area. Never get out of your car, especially at night. It's definitely weird. The most common story that we hear about Clinton Road is that of a dead young boy who hangs out under a bridge and returns coins to you after you throw them in the water. And here's a little story of that. So this person said, yesterday at 8 p.m., me and my friend were going to a movie at the drive-in. We took Clinton Road. We stopped on the bridge, and he told me all the stories about the boy being killed. So they threw a quarter off the edge, and they drove away. On the way back home at 11:30, they passed over the bridge, and they stopped because they wanted to point out the kid's name on the side of the bridge. Just when he said the kid's name, a quarter or something metal was thrown hard against the window of the car. They were shocked for a minute, but then drove away. They said they're not going to take that road for a long time.
Should I tell my story?
Yeah, you can tell yours. Yeah, go ahead.
What? Well, yeah, we should keep on the Clinton, or are those.
These are Clinton Road. This is all.
Oh,
Clinton
do
Road.
all yours
Okay.
first, and then I'll.
So obviously, I think I went to Clinton Road, that we drove through it. We didn't have any experience. We didn't do anything. We just drove down the road like once, me and my friends. But I never went there to like do anything creepy.
I did.
Yeah. So this one is called Clinton Roads Makes Me Sick, which I did hear about. So this person says, my sister, her husband, and my boyfriend and myself decided to take a ride down Clinton Road. We started from Route 23. It was around 12:30 a.m. I can't exactly explain the feeling I started getting. I don't know if my imagination was going wild, but my sister, my boyfriend, and me started telling my brother-in-law to turn around. I felt so scared and sick to my stomach that I couldn't even breathe. It was an oppressive feeling, like just pure evil. And I definitely believe that something would have happened if we just kept going.
Interesting.
By the way, I got all this information from weirdnewjersey.com, so credit to them for all this. Trying to put it in my own words as best I can as I read it. This one is called Dead Man's Corner, which is another thing I've heard about. So at the very end of Clinton Road, after you go down about 12 miles, there's a place called Dead Man's Corner. I heard this is where the animal sacrifices take place. If you see a cow, dead or alive, in the middle of the road, do not get out. They want you to get out of the car to kill or eat you. Just turn around and floor it.
Oh, that escalated.
Which I have. So one of the cautionary tales that we heard was that like people would go, like bad people would go there and hang out there to like mess with people, and sometimes there was like people who got like mugged or like other things. So it was just, we avoided it. So this one's about aliens. People have reports about aliens in the area. The title is Hundreds of Blue, Red, and White Lights. So they were at Clinton Road one night, and as they went further along the road, they saw lights, hundreds of them on both sides of the woods. Blue ones, red ones, white ones. So when I was reading, I was like, oh, it was cop cars. They got so freaked out as they went 75 miles per hour on a 35 mile per hour road. The lights would keep up with them. If we stopped in the middle of the road, they were on each side. So don't know what that was. And then suddenly they vanished.
So it's funny because some of those stories are like exactly my experience when I went.
Yeah, that's why I try to get a little bit of everything.
So I'll set the scene. Me and my friend at the time, we were in high school, and my friend was talking to this guy that she had met. I don't even know where she met him, but he invited her to go with him and his friends. They wanted to go to Clinton Road to drive down, or no, sorry, they wanted to hang out. This wasn't like we're gonna all go to Clinton Road, and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. They wanted to hang out. He was hanging with his friends and wanted her to come, and obviously she didn't want to go by herself, so she asked if I would go. Thinking back, I was like, why did we go hang out with these guys that we did not know? I think it was 2 guys and like 2 girls, actually. And so at one point they were like, ooh, I know what we should do, because they were bored. They were like, we should drive down Clinton Road. It's crazy. And they basically like told us all these stories, which first of all, like, this sounds like a horror movie. Like, we're meeting these people and hanging out with them for the first time, and they were like, ooh, do you want to go to this place that's known for KKK and animal sacrifice and
Satan worshiping?
And we're like, yeah, that sounds great.
Sounds fun. What else are we gonna do?
We went in this person's car, and I still, like, to this day, I think this was the first and only time we were ever with these people. I don't remember ever seeing them again. I don't remember their names. They were ghosts.
Interesting.
I have no idea. I literally was doing this for my friend, and I think after this, they like stopped talking or whatever. But we went, I don't remember. I'm guessing we went from whatever side's closest to like where I live to the, I don't know in what direction we went, like, because there's 2 directions you can go on Clinton Road. But we went in this guy's car, and we stopped. The first thing we did was that bridge where they said like the dead ghost boy is. We stopped there. They told us, I think one of the girls was super into it because she told us the story of like, if you throw something down there and they'll throw it back. And there was old toys there. So I don't know if somebody like left though. I'm assuming somebody left those
in there.
To be creepy or like pay tribute. I don't know. But there was like old broken toys like down because there was a stream thing under the bridge. So we threw a coin over and we waited and we like said the name, whatever, and it never came back. So I'm skeptical about that part.
Yeah.
But then we got back in the car and we were driving. And at this point, I'm just like, oh, this is all just, it's like fun, creepy, but like none of it's real. As we're driving, and there's only you only see other cars every now and then. Otherwise, there's nowhere to really pull off.
Yeah,
it's all woods.
Truly in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the woods. I'm pretty sure cell service wasn't good. The one weird thing we noticed going through was if you look to the right, there was like, between the trees, you could see that there was some sort of like hill and a building. I'm assuming maybe that's
that was the
where
castle, or
maybe that's the castle. I don't know. But there was also like what looked like fires or like big bright lights up on top of that like hill near the thing. There was like 3 distinct ones. And so our friends were like, oh my God, maybe that's the KKK. Like they're up there. They do like either that or like the Satan worshipers or whatever. And I was like, oh, great. And that is the thing they tell you. They say like, even though we stopped and got out of the car for the ghost kid, the thing is like, you're not supposed to stop on Clinton Road. They always tell you because it's a dangerous road, apparently. So we didn't after the ghost kid, thank God. But we kept going. We were like slowly going by to try and check out these lights because we didn't know what they were. That was creepy. And then we're getting almost toward the end, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Like the fires in the distance were kind of creepy and the toys were creepy, but whatever. All of a sudden, we're getting toward the end of the road. A person ran out of the, keep in mind, like we're not near anything. There was no other cars around. Some person that was in the woods came running at our car with a mask on. Just one guy or girl, I don't know who, just like ran at the car. We're screaming. We like the guy that was driving the car like blasted off, thank God. And the guy didn't like reach our car. We got out of like I think we just got out of Clinton Road to the main road and then hit a deer. So then, and he said like he thought his tire, like the deer basically ran into the side of our car. Like we didn't hit it straight on. It like ran into the front, but we're pretty sure that it somehow like either the deer or the guy, because we also heard that they would like some people would throw spikes in Clinton Road to try and get like cars to like stop there so they could like get you.
Yeah.
So we also don't know if maybe there was something in the road, but one of his tires was like completely flat after we left. So either the deer accidentally like popped it or there was something in the road. So meanwhile, so then he wanted to pull over because his like tire is completely flat. We're like, no, you have to like just drive as far as we can and then pull over because we have to get away from this area. I don't know who that man was that just ran out.
Just as a tip, you can drive on a flat tire. And it's suggested, especially if you're on the highway and you get a flat tire, get off to the right.
Yeah. Well, he got that, and then it started sparking. Was how far we had gone.
Yes, that's when you
ran it down.
That's when you're on the rim and you want to get off.
Yeah.
Stop.
So then we had to stop, and then literally they were waiting for the cops and stuff. And I remember I was like past curfew, and I had to tell my mom what was going on. We basically had to call our other friends to come all the way out there. I think it was like an hour drive to come pick us up and bring us back. So that was my story, and I've never been back there since. I don't remember those people. If for some reason you're listening to this podcast, you remember being in a car with two girls that you just met for the first time that were very scared during this entire experience. What up? Say hi.
What up?
I don't remember. But yeah, that I'll never forget. Like just the whole incident, the guy running at our car like that. After we had just like made fun of the road the entire time, I still to this day have in my head, I'd like to think it was just some like
it's this guy messing around,
dude, or maybe group of teenagers we didn't see like being dumb and trying to scare people.
Whatever, high schoolers.
Yeah, I feel like when you have enough like hype around a place being scary, there's
like
obviously
people go
people.
there to like instigate.
Yeah. So yeah, but just to be safe, don't ever stop there.
Yeah.
It's not just if you have to drive down it. I think I had to go one more time because somebody was like, "Oh yeah, we're on Clinton Road." I was like, "Right now," but it was during the day. So during the day, apparently it's fine. But
I
at
feel
night,
like it's probably something that's like calmed down because like back in the day when we were growing up, there wasn't much to do, so people would just go do crazy stuff like this. Nowadays, I would be pretty weary to be one of those people trying to scare people because you'll get shot.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, so my experience with Clinton Road, like when we talked about the Salesian School during our school podcast, that was like an experience of like some sort of weird, unexplainable thing that happened. This one was more, I could probably explain it by either people were correct and this was some sort of stomping ground for Satan worshipers or KKK and they were having fires in the distance and then having other people maybe trying to scare off people so they don't come there anymore. I don't know. Or it could just be teenagers messing, but I don't know. Couldn't tell if
the cops have like
I would
busted.
feel like the cops would have known about this area by now. I feel like they would be patrolling it.
But I mean, not ideally, but like if, you know, like let's say there's like Satan worshipers or just crazy people that are like, they're not doing anything wrong.
If they're killing people, if they're taking people.
Yeah, if they're taking, but I'm saying if they're just like doing seances in the woods.
Is there a movie about Clinton Road?
Well, we're gonna make one.
Clinton Road movie. Oh, there is. It's called Clinton Road, 2019. It got a 3 out of 10.
That's not good. Why is it so bad?
A firefighter has to unravel the mystery of a haunted road after his wife disappears on it.
Oh, okay. They should do. Wait, Ice-T is in it?
Yeah, and it says New Jersey, in a haunted road in rural New Jersey.
Who else is in it? Anyone else famous? Go scroll.
I am.
Oh, that guy's famous.
Vincent
Pastore. He's like a.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
whatever.
Ooh,
yeah,
I gotta watch.
Why
like,
is Ice-T in this movie?
Is he the main guy?
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think he's the main guy.
You should watch it.
We should watch it. It's probably terrible. I'm gonna watch like a recap, like I do, where I always watch recaps of scary movies, so I don't actually have to watch the scary movie.
Any other driving experience?
No, I feel like driving gives me anxiety.
Creepy. Definitely, yeah.
It's one of the many things in my day-to-day life that I don't enjoy.
We've
but
had our
you
fair
have
share
to.
of driving spookiness, scariness.
Though what I was gonna say, not that I don't enjoy it. I enjoy the moments where I'm like alone in the car and I get to like blast
Music, listen to a
and just have-
podcast. Yeah.
Or on a beautiful day, you just have
Yeah.
the window open
Yep.
but I hate like
Driving at
how
night.
dangerous it is. Yeah, driving at night, driving in the rain, driving
Yeah.
in the snow,
Yeah.
driving with other terrible drivers.
Driving. Yeah. My one thing I've noticed, and I'm sure other people know, like, I hate when it's raining or snowing and people don't slow down or drive more cautiously. They drive the same or worse. And it's like,
I don't understand.
what are you trying to prove? You have nothing to prove. Good for you. You
Yeah.
think your car is good in the bad weather. Cool. You want to risk that just to be a
Yeah, I don't,
cool person?
I don't get it. It's
Yeah.
I enjoy driving very slow when the weather's bad. I literally stay in the right lane and I just go as slow as possible. And
Or people who have loud cars. That's annoying.
it's even worse now with a baby.
Yeah.
Because like
It's obnoxious.
it's so obnoxious when it comes around
Loud
our street,
motorcycles.
we just hear it. Why? I still don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get why that's like an appealing thing to people to have like a loud
Same,
car.
it's like a firework. People like loud things.
I guess.
Not
I
that
understand fireworks more than a loud car though.
this somewhat has to do with driving, but I hate people who ride their bicycles,
Oh my god.
cyclists on the road. If I ever become president, the first thing I'm doing is banning people from riding bicycles on roads because they're not cars, and they act like they are, and they cause so many issues.
There needs to be more bike lanes.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with bike lanes. If you're driving in or if you're riding your bike in like a neighborhood, it's completely fine. There's usually more space, or you're on the sidewalk, which I don't even think you're supposed to do. But people who ride their bikes in busy roads and they're in the road and you have to go around them.
What's the other thing that you said that you would outlaw if you were president?
I forget.
That has to do with cars.
Forget.
Snow on the roof.
Oh yeah. If you don't clear the snow off your roof, you deserve jail. Put you in jail. You get a day in jail.
I will say some people think that's a dumb thing, but I do remember but when I was commuting to work, I had to go over the Tappan Zee Bridge. And after I got to work, there was a story like about a semi truck that the snow had like frozen on top of it.
Mhm.
They hadn't cleared it off. It froze and it basically went through the windshield of a person behind them.
Yep.
And I think killed them or like severely hurt them. I
I
forget.
hate it.
But I remember hearing that and was like, so every time I'm behind a semi truck
I
after it
hate
snows, I
driving
try
behind
to get away
trucks.
from it.
Always hate driving behind trucks.
Yeah,
for
there's
many
another thing for you
reasons.
to be scared of if you live in the
Northeast,
Northeast.
or anywhere that snows.
try not to be behind a car that has a lot of snow on its roof because it could be frozen. And
It could be frozen, or it like flies off and it blinds you. Oh, I hate it. If I was a cop,
So you just hate driving.
some of it. That's why I'm fine with automated driving. If I was a cop, I would give tickets to every single person I saw who had snow in their car on their roof. I would.
They can, right? It's against the
I'm
law.
sure. Yeah, it should be. I don't know exactly, but if you are
Maybe a certain
someone
amount of
and
snow.
you don't clear the damn snow off your car, do it, or I'm gonna find you when I become president, and you will be in jail. Goodbye.
And remember,
Everything is creepy.
and make sure you're not a biker or a snow non-shoveler. if
I'll get
you're in the car near Bobby.
I'm gonna get
He'll
you.
get you.
Bye bye.